Hey everybody, how's it going? Seth Hagan here alongside Hunter Price. We are on the sidelines and we welcome you to another edition of our show. The leaves are changing, it's getting kind of cold outside, and it's a wonderful time of year. The NBA gets started up on Wednesday, which means we'll just have the perfect sports mashup between the World Series, start of college and pro basketball, and of course we are in the throes of football season. Half the season already gone. It's so sad. So it pains the soul, but we must sojourn on because this is where it really gets good. And there are lots of matchups to talk about this past weekend and lots of matchups to look forward to. So let us not dilly-dally, as it were. All right. Starting off, got to talk about the number one team in the country and the number one team in the state of Alabama. And by the way, great basketball being played here in the state of Alabama. When you think about South Alabama and Troy representing, we got the Magic City Classic next weekend, which is always fun. It's always a great thing for the city of Birmingham, Alabama State, and Alabama A&M going at it at Legion Field. And that's pretty cool to go there.
Have you ever been to the Classic?
Have I ever been to the Classic? No, I have never been to the Classic. And by the way, y'all, hit those phone lines, 1-888-242-8517, if you want to talk about anything going on in the world of
You got to go to the Classic. You've never been. It is awesome.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
Classic is one of the coolest things you can do in college football.
Yeah, Ludacris is going to be joining somebody at the halftime show. Yeah, dude, and he's going to have the post-game concert at Legion Field as well. So I may have to stick around for that because that guy is definitely one of my favorites. But everybody, let us get to what happened this weekend. I mean, it was awesome. Alabama struggled with Texas A&M for about 35 minutes and then basically did what they do. They outlast their opponent and eventually grind them down. A 19-point win, covering the spread by a single point. A single point, and that made everybody in the desert very happy because I don't know anybody who was betting on A&M by virtue of that line, which I think rose from 13.5 to 18.5 in 1 week. And this is for basically a top 5 matchup, everybody. Let's keep that in mind. Alabama just played so well. Especially in the second half, getting to Trevor Knight basically all night, overcoming the inconsistencies of the offense and the turnovers early by Jalen Hurts, and really put forth a very impressive performance and did what the number one team is supposed to do.
Well, I mean, when you really look at it, Alabama dominated the entire game except for, the last couple minutes of the first half and then the first couple minutes of the second half. I mean, that's the only times A&M scored was with 38 seconds left on the clock in the second quarter and at 12:54 in the third. I mean, other than that, I mean, Alabama absolutely dominated them. You look at it, Alabama had 19 rushing first downs to A&M's 9, and Alabama had, and even in passing game, dead even in the passing game.
How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, goodness
Dude,
gracious.
Passing, Alabama and A&M both had 7 passing first downs in the game. Not only that, Knight and Hurts both passed for 164 yards.
Now that's interesting. Plus, of course, let's not forget that Alabama had another defensive touchdown, non-offensive touchdown, as they like to say.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
It was an insane game.
Not only did Knight and Hurts both pass for 7 first downs, both passed for 164 yards. They also both passed for 2 TDs.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's not mirroring your opponent to a T, I don't know what is.
Yeah. And did you hear what Alabama did to get ready for Trevor Knight?
They brought back Blake Sims.
Yeah.
Which I thought was genius.
Boy, Nick Saban really pulling the strings on this one.
I wanted to do that ever since I was when I graduated and I'd come back after my senior year of high school and I'd come to a football practice. I helped out a little bit. My year after I graduated, I'd always be like, Coach, let me put the pads on. Let me be the scout team quarterback. Let me do it. Come on, Coach.
It's not going to matter if I get hurt. I'll just hobble around on the sidelines, I'm just
I just think
doing
for
my
Blake
thing.
Sims, that's got to be awesome for him
sure.
to get to come back and do that. But when you look at this game, it came down to defense. I didn't think A&M really matched up well with Alabama when it came to their offense. I kind of thought Alabama was going to take A&M to the woodshed. When you look at what A&M does, to hurt Alabama, you got to go downfield. That's not really Trevor Knight's game.
No, he's not a very accurate passer overall. Just a hair over 50% and just a hair under 50% in this game.
And when you look at for Knight, you want to get him. He wants to be on the run. He throws better on the run, on the move, when the running game is going. And that's why you've seen A&M go more to the running game this year. They were able to stop A&M's rushing game. I mean, A&M had only 114 rushing yards. When you do that and you shut down the rushing game, it kind of just shuts A&M down.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Travion Williams, who had previously led the league in rushing a couple of weeks ago, was completely shut down, only mustered, I believe, 27 yards. And that's just now he was a freshman, true enough. So that may have been an easier assignment to pull right there. But
they did have two running
impressive.
backs go for over 70. Ford had 15 carries for 70 yards, and Trevor Knight had 13 carries for 74 yards. So
but all those yards that he lost on sacks were really brought their numbers.
So they had success running, but you got to get Williams going for that offense to get going.
And nobody outside of Josh Reynolds or Christian Kirk caught more than a single pass. So Christian Kirk, 9 receptions, but only for 58 yards. And I think that speaks volumes about Alabama's tackling ability out there on the edges. But maybe they don't cover as well, but they certainly don't give you yards after contact.
But, when it comes down to it, they stopped the running game, and then they got the defensive touchdown.
Yep.
Again. Is that a 10 in a row?
Unbelievable.
10 in a row? 10 games in a row?
9 or 10, something like that. And yet that's still not the record. Can you believe that? I don't know what the record is, but I have it on good authority that this is the first time since, I think, in the mid-'80s that a team has reeled off 9 games in a row with a non-offensive touchdown.
This really could have been a lot closer of a game without that defensive touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, A&M was up 14
to 13. It was 20 to 14, and then Alabama.
I mean, like they were up, and then Alabama scored, and then right off that right off that game-leading touchdown, they got the defensive touchdown, and man, it was downhill from there.
Well, that wasn't the only big game this weekend, was it?
It was not. There were other big games and a big blowout as well as Auburn just absolutely pillaged the Razorbacks, 56-3. Biggest win over a ranked opponent in school history. Biggest win over an SEC opponent in school history. And the most rushing yards for any team in the FBS in 2016. An absolutely remarkable feat there. This was a top 25 matchup, almost a top 20 matchup, and Auburn made it look like they were playing some directional school. The running lanes were open all night. Cam Petway was absolutely unstoppable. Went for 5 or 6 yards, seemed like every single carry.
Cam Petway, I mean, it looked like he went for 5 or 6 yards. He averaged 7.1 yards a carry. Petway on the game, 27 carries for 192 yards and 2 TDs. Eli Stove, 3 carries for 94 yards and a TD. Cam Martin, 7 carries for 80 yards and a TD. Stanton Truitt, 8 carries for 78 yards and 2 TDs. And then old Sean White here, 4 carries for 61 yards and a TD.
Including a career-long 41-yarder that, man, it was beautiful. And including his first rushing touchdown of the year. Or second. I think it was the second. But, I mean, it was such a beautiful pull, both of those. And he's really using the element of surprise so well to make himself dangerous in the run game. And if you can add that and the defense continues to get better every single game, obviously, I mean, against league opponents, Auburn is really doing so well outside of the Texas A&M game. You look at that, and they have not given up 20 points to a single opponent outside of Texas A&M.
I'm telling you right now, if Rhett Lashley was calling the plays, Auburn would be undefeated right now.
And you could certainly make that case, but you have to give credit, I think, to Gus Malzahn for essentially demoting himself and handing over the reins. A lot of coaches, they know when to demote other guys, other coaches, other players, but you rarely see a coach have the guts and really be humble enough to demote themselves and say, hey, maybe I don't have it going on anymore. Maybe I need to switch up my approach. And that's what he's done.
They do. And, I mean, it doesn't help that Arkansas is giving up 6.4 yards per carry.
It's crazy.
And they're giving up 221 yards a game.
You'd think the last week's game, Arkansas Ole Miss would have been a lot more running because both teams
They're both throwing
don't
teams.
seem to be
Well,
able to do anything.
Arkansas ran the ball against Ole Miss. Ole Miss can't run the ball. They haven't been able to run the ball since Hugh Freeze was there.
Yeah.
It's a throwing team with no defense.
They haven't had a running back since Jamal Charles.
Ole Miss ranks. Auburn just played Arkansas, put up 543 rushing yards on Arkansas. They ranked 13th in the SEC. Where does Ole Miss rank in rushing defense?
Oh, I know it's not inside the top 10.
14th.
We're going to go with dead last then.
14th. They're giving
last.
They're giving up 5.2 yards per carry. They're giving up 226.9 yards a game. I don't think it's going to be as bad of a game as Auburn, Arkansas was, but Auburn is about to go put a
and only because it's at Ole Miss.
Yeah, but Auburn's about to go put a butt whipping on Ole Miss.
Yeah, like it's according to our rankings, it's going to happen. If you look at the direction these two teams are going, I mean, Ole Miss is clearly just not a second half team this year, and Auburn's putting teams away in the second half, at least during this 4-game win streak that they're currently on. But let's talk about Ole Miss and LSU because that was a game in itself, but it was not a game for long because Leonard Fournette straight up took over and reminded us who perhaps the best running back in the country still is because he absolutely dominated, had I think 3 or 4 touchdowns of 50 yards or more. I mean, when you think about that, that's incredible. You don't see that. And, if this is going to be the Leonard Fournette that we see, and you throw in the fact that Darius Geis was basically his clone in the last couple of games, I mean, there's not going to be too many teams outside of Alabama that are going to hold LSU to under 200 yards rushing. I just don't think it's possible. They are completely re-energized, and they play for Ed Orgeron. They play for that man.
I really hope he gets the job at the end of the
I
year.
do too, because at the end of the day, how can you argue with how this team is playing? I mean look at Leonard's run right here. This is incredible. Just bye, whole, see ya. One of many of the touchdowns. I think we already saw one here on this highlight clip. I mean, this is how it was the whole game, folks. The whole game. The game was tied at 21 at the half, and LSU shut them out in the second half and finished them off to their credit. And LSU hopped right back into the rankings. They were actually 25th. So they were never technically out, but they were out last week, weren't they? I think so.
No, they were in.
Okay,
Yes.
so they were
Yes.
in last week. They
Yes,
never
they
dropped
were.
out. Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Yes.
So, 17-0 in the second half. Another awesome effort from Ed Orgeron's bunch.
This
truly
Bama
amazing.
LSU game we have coming up in a few weeks is going to be a great one, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's going to be a great.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is going to be a good game coming up with
Like
Bama
17-21.
Yep.
Like that's how I see it.
Yep. But guess what? We'll talk about that when we come back from the break.
Yep. A lot more to come. Everybody, stick around.
Head to Carl Cannon. Their dream team makes it real easy to do business.
This is Tyler Herron at Carl Cannon Chevrolet, Buick, Cadillac, and GMC. Did you see behind me, I got one of our Z71 Chevrolet Silverados. We have many like it. This is actually a Tuscany truck. It has a lift kit and the aftermarket wheels and tires. We are a Tuscany dealer. Come down and see us in Jasper, Alabama, and Carl Cannon Boulevard off exit 65, or you can give us a call at 205-384-5561.
Other dealers can't? Cannon can.
Carl Cannon, Chevy Buick GMC Cadillac in Jasper.
Every day, students at Bevel State Community College tell their own stories. They tell them through the accomplishments they achieve, the choices they make for career success, and through recommendations they share with friends. With 5 locations serving 7 counties and tuition lower than career colleges, now is the time to start writing your own success story. Your story starts at Bevel State.
Ready to Work Trucks in Summerton is just that. The place to go from anywhere in the country to find good used trucks for any need. Brian and Robert Harlan and their staff will assist you with financing and delivery. Brian is a 3-time National Truck Salesman of the Year and a 5-time Kenworth Walk-Around Champion with 30 years experience. Ready to Work Trucks, more than just a slogan, a business guarantee.
When you buy a truck from Ready to Work Trucks, everything works. All lights, all gauges, all switches, brakes are good. You can go anywhere in the country or on the internet and you can buy you a used truck and it's ready for you to go home and work on it. Or you can come to Ready to Work Trucks where everything on our trucks work. And the horn blows, the brakes work, the tires are good, the kingpins are good. Hey, come visit us on Old 78 Highway in Summerton, Alabama, small town, big business. Come see us. We'll see that Ready to Work Trucks is more than our slogan, it's our business guarantee.
Welcome back, everybody. Surprise, this is not Alabama politics. It is, in fact, on the sidelines. Seth Hagan here, the Coach Hunter Price to my left. And we are here live on a Monday night. Glad you all have joined us, whether it be on Charter Channel 80 or on AlabamaCableNetwork.com. We enjoy all of our listeners. Make sure you hit the phone lines there. You see the number on the bottom of your screen, 888-242-8517, the number to call. Call about college football, World Series, beginning of the NBA season, starting very soon, Wednesday in fact, and it's a beautiful time to be alive, Hunter Price. But we have just 7 undefeated teams remaining in college football, if you don't count Boise State. And I don't know if you can. But one thing we can do is go to the lines. Caller,
go ahead.
Go ahead, you're live on the sidelines.
Hey, Bama Brent.
Bama
Brent, what's up, man?
Hunter, Seth, how are y'all?
We're doing well. How are you
Couldn't
doing?
be better, my man.
Good weekend?
Yeah, man. Long weekend, but a good weekend, for sure.
Man, I feel you. Guys, I'm going to cut to the chase. That was an unbelievable game. I mean, yes, it was a sad occurrence that we lost Eddie Jackson.
Yes, that was something that we did not mention, and I'm glad that you did, because that is a tough loss for Alabama.
Huge loss.
Eddie Jackson, starting safety, a guy that already had multiple interceptions on the year, multiple interception returns for touchdowns on the year.
Punt returns for touchdowns.
And punt returns
in
for
my
touchdowns.
opinion,
And special teams.
Yeah, especially I think he's the
Incredible.
most valuable player to Alabama's team, in my opinion. What he brought leadership-wise, and then the way he was able to score on special teams and on defense, his coverage ability, his interceptions. I don't see anybody that's better. He hurts the team more than any other loss could.
He will definitely go down in the books, and hope he has a speedy recovery. But also, defensive line spoke for itself. I mean, Jonathan Allen, you're going to see that guy NFL Hall of Fame one day. I swear. If he keeps going the path he goes, as long as these kids stay straight path, I mean, they're bound to be great.
Oh, no, I totally agree. I mean, if Jonathan Allen stays the course, he just might be a Hall of Famer. And like I heard on the radio on the way up here, Jonathan Allen is the most NFL-ready defensive lineman since Ndamukong Suh.
Jeez. Oh, my gosh.
He's
I've never seen anybody
undefendable.
caliber.
You cannot, he is unblockable. I mean, Gus Malzahn used to call Carl Lawson unblockable. Jonathan Allen is unblockable. Totally blew my mind that he did not join the rest of the Alabama defense and going into the draft last year.
Look how much his stock has risen this year because of it.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
What
It
he
has
did
worked out for him.
And same for Lawson, same for Adams. Look how much their stock has risen by coming back.
True enough.
But it's going to be interesting. Alabama is going to have some depth issues now. They already had them in the secondary. With Eddie Jackson gone, probably going to move Fitzpatrick to safety, put Tony Brown at corner. but they have some serious depth. I don't think we're really going to see it because I think that D-line is so dominant that it's going to hide Alabama's deficiencies in the secondary. But it's going to be interesting to see if there is anybody that can expose that for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned how Allen's stock has risen because he was projected to be around the 15th, 16th pick in last year's draft overall. Now, Todd McShay has him at number 3, only behind Myles Garrett, a freak, and Leonard Fournette, another freak. So you can't really, feel bad about that because, if you're going to be second to anybody, it would be those guys. Those guys are awesome.
No, I'm taking Allen over Garrett.
I think I would too, honestly,
I
feel like I can play Allen at tackle and end.
Well, yeah, Allen can play the run.
Garrett cannot play inside.
Allen can play the run and the pass. Mm-hmm. Garrett's more of a pass rusher.
I feel like he's going to be a crucial role.
Although I feel like Garrett, being the athletic freak that he is, would also be a good stand-up linebacker in the league. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I haven't looked at it.
I feel like he's so speedy off that edge. I feel like his speed translates very well to just any place in the front seven in the NFL. But yeah, you're right. Allen, what a grade, 93 out of 100. Garrett and Fournette, McShay has at 95, but even ahead of Jabril Peppers, a guy who may be the best overall athlete in the draft and a dark horse in the Heisman candidate area. But Brent, man, tell me, Alabama and LSU are both off this week in preparation for another showdown in Death Valley. So 2 weeks out from that big game and knowing that LSU is playing at a very high level and Alabama playing at perhaps their highest level ever on defense, what do you see happening there?
It's really hard to predict with this one. I feel like it's going to be either a really high-scoring game.
A lot of people already have Alabama as 2 touchdown favorites. How do you feel about that?
Oh, well, of course I'm happy with that, but also you never want to go with those odds on a game like this.
True.
Especially
I
at the
think
caliber
that's too high.
showing.
I think so.
I don't want to say that he wasn't good last year, but he is outrageous this year.
Yeah. With Fournette and Darius Geis. In my opinion, Brent, I don't think Alabama's going to shut Fournette down like they did last year.
I don't think we are either,
They've revamped their offense, and if you look at last year, they were able to stack the box. Well, Alabama was great against the run without having to stack the box, but then they stacked it on top of that with Fournette.
Yeah, because they couldn't pass.
I don't think you can do that this year with this LSU team with their new revamped offense.
I don't see these teams giving up big plays like that because I think they're always going to have somebody in the backfield because of Fournette.
I really see this one being one of the better LSU-Alabama matchups that we've had. I think it's going to be one of the better LSU-Alabama games we've had, and I think it's just going to be just a dog.
Like teetering on the edge of 2012.
Yeah.
Alabama LSU.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Might be more crying fan memes in the future. That'll be fun for all of us. Brent, we got to go, but glad you called in, man. Thanks a lot.
Roll Tide.
All right, buddy. That was Bama Brent. You want to call in just like he did, 888-242-8517. The number to call there at the bottom of your screen. All right, everybody. We've got top 10. There's still, like I said, there are 7 undefeated teams still left in college football, 8 if you count Boise State, and I don't. Because, they are 13th in the country. They're getting a little bit of love.
They're a good football team.
Yeah, no doubt. And if there are any Oklahomas wondering out there in the future, just know that the Broncos have you in their sights. But let's play a little game of Pretender Contender.
All right.
Because we've got these top 10 teams, 3 teams, 4 teams actually, still with 1 loss, with a real shot, I think, at getting in the playoffs if things work their way around. So let's play a little game with that. We'll start it from the top we'll start it from the bottom because honestly, everybody in the top 4 obviously is a contender. So let's start out with number 14, Florida. Contender or pretender?
Contender.
Contender.
Yes.
Why do you think that?
Defense.
Defense is a monster.
Defense
of
and Del
course.
Rio being back. Florida would be 6-0 right now if Del Rio was the starter at Tennessee.
Certainly a case for that.
I'm telling you that they rank first in 3 of the top 4 defensive categories in the SEC. I mean, they have a great, fantastic defense. I mean, and they're contender. You have defense, you can contend. Plain and simple.
Yeah. And Florida just got done with a waxing of Missouri. Had a week off before they faced Georgia in the annual Florida-Georgia game. We have our lovely helmets. We will let you guys know who won the helmet this week, and we'll let you know on the Facebook page, on the Sidelines Facebook page, how to win one this upcoming week. We like to find different ways to let you guys get these things because they're awesome. I mean, they can go anywhere. Your office, your man cave, your dining room. Make a nice little, romantic center fixing on your dinner table. I'm just kidding. But yeah, certainly Florida is a fantastic team. And with Georgia, Arkansas next, and of course the game now with LSU, that has extra special meaning.
Not playing that game helped Florida and LSU out tremendously.
It did. How about that? The Lord works in mysterious ways. All right.
West Virginia.
I personally, I'm going to say pretender right now for Florida. I need to see how they play against Arkansas.
All right.
Because that'll be a tough game for them. Boise State, any chance at all
No.
they get in there?
No.
I didn't think so either. Florida State with 2 losses, I feel like has played themselves out of it.
Pretender.
Yep. Wisconsin as well. Unfortunately, they had to run up against the best teams in their conference.
The only
Within
team the only 2 lost. We don't even have to worry about talking about these 2 lost teams. The only 2 lost team that has a chance at the playoff is Auburn if they win out and win the SEC championship.
And that's only because they have 1 conference loss.
Exactly.
At the end of the day. All right, A&M, or pardon me, we'll go with West Virginia. They are 6-0 right now, and they have won. Let's see, they've beaten Missouri. Not the biggest deal anymore. That now that we see that the Blue Raiders of MTSU can also do that as of this past weekend. Good Lord, that was embarrassing.
Pretender.
But Kansas State beat Texas Tech and had a very convincing win, 34-10 win against TCU. But you still say
Pretender.
Yeah, I think anybody in the Big 12 really is a pretender because I think they're going to get shut out no matter what in the playoff race. They do themselves no favors, and Houston, I think, beating Oklahoma destroyed them. That kind of takes care of Baylor. Texas A&M has a chance if Alabama does get knocked off by let's say, it would be Alabama or
They're pretender there.
You think so? No
Yes.
chance at all?
They're a good team.
I see scenarios where it could happen, but they really had to beat Alabama to really give themselves a good shot. And going forward, Texas A&M schedule, it's not easy. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, LSU, only Mississippi State there I feel is a guaranteed win. Nebraska, 7-0 in the Big Ten. But their schedule has been pretty easy.
Pretender.
Right? I feel like they still have not played a ranked team. They will play Wisconsin this week, so that will be a game to watch, almost a top 10 matchup there. And while we say that, we definitely want to mention that this is the first time that the first 4 winningest teams have been ranked in the top 10 together. Most winningest programs overall in college football. The top 4, it's been like 60 years since that's happened, so definitely want to throw that out there. Is Ohio State still a contender after losing in Happy Valley this past weekend?
Yes, they're still a contender. They win out, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to beat Michigan, who's ranked number 2.
You think they're going to beat Michigan?
No, I'm just saying if they win out, they will beat number 2 ranked
take care of
Michigan.
business.
They will go to the playoff. They are a contender.
Yeah. Now, Louisville's already lost to Clemson, so they are on the outside looking in, but Clemson has proven beatable.
Clemson is beatable, and Louisville is a contender.
Yeah, they're the first one out in my mind. Washington ranked 4th. I personally like them at number 2. I think they've shown improved all year.
And I think
They've
Michigan
dominated
should
the
be
schedule.
2, Washington 3. But Washington is a great football team. They are a contender as well. I actually think with Clemson, I think Clemson's a pretender.
Really?
Yeah, I'm looking at who can win it all, not who's going to have the path to the championship.
Okay. Not who can actually make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just
hear you.
I don't see it with the, I mean, they're good, but I don't know.
Yeah. Ain't no telling. Ain't no telling. We still got a lot of football to go. All right, it's 7:31. We got to talk to Joe Hunk of WMSP in Montgomery. So everybody stick around. We're going to pay some bills and talk about the World Series. Cleveland Indians, Chicago Cubs. Next.
Head to Carl Cannon. Their dream team makes it real easy to do business.
Here at Carl Cannon Chevrolet, we offer a wide variety of vehicles. Trucks is one of our main things that we have here. We offer them that can be dinghy towed, flat towed, and we also have vehicles that can tow between 3,500 pounds all the way to 17,500 pounds. So if you need a vehicle that can just take you to church on Sundays or pull the load on Mondays, we've got them all right here for you at Carl Cannon. Been here for 50 years. Come see us in Jasper.
Other dealers can't, Cannon can.
Carl Cannon, Chevy Buick GMC Cadillac in Jasper.
Every day, students at Bevel State Community College tell their own stories. They tell them through the accomplishments they achieve, the choices they make for career success, and through recommendations they share with friends. With 5 locations serving 7 counties and tuition lower than 4-year colleges, now is the time to start writing your own success story. Your story starts at Bevel State.
From Mobile to Florence, from Auburn to Tuscaloosa, for all your commercial or private paving needs, is Alabama's premier surfacing company. 20 years experience has the equipment and personnel to handle any job anywhere in the state of Alabama. Call 205-648-3117.
Everybody, welcome back to On the Sidelines. We're going to have Joe Hunk here on the lines in just a moment. But before we do that, I definitely want to throw out a little something. It might be him actually right there.
I hung up on him again. I'm
boy,
sorry, folks. I'm screwing this up.
Joe Hunter Price is in rare form tonight, folks. But want to talk about these hover helmets. Make sure you check those out on Facebook. Also check out the On the Sidelines Facebook page. And after we get done with
Joe.
And after we get done with Joe, call those lines. Yeah. Hey, Joe Hunk of WMSP in Montgomery has joined the program as promised. And we're going to talk about baseball because Joe is our resident baseball guru. And we've been talking to him pretty much since August about baseball. Really, July, truly. June, July, honestly. It's been a while. I mean, football kind of wipes it out for you. But, Joe, appreciate the time, man. We have finally made it to the Classic, and I'm not talking about the Magic City Classic. I'm obviously talking about the October Classic, World Series time, and we finally got just a Hollywood type matchup. We've all seen the memes. The rookie and is going against Major League. And it's finally here, and I mean, these two teams combined have waited something like more than 130 years combined for a title. One of those teams' wait will be over. What are your initial reactions to it, man?
I will tell you right now that I have not been this anxious, this nervous, this flustered since I honestly cannot. I'll probably go back to the times when the Braves were in the NLDS and were Game 5s in 03 and 04 or 02 and 03 because I'm seriously sitting here right now and 03 is when I really started following the Cubs because after they beat the Braves, I was like, okay, I want this team to win the World Series. And then 03 came and passed. And we all know what happened in 03 and then 04 and 05 and everything just keeps happening. And I kept following them this whole time. And now, in 2007, I think it's either 05 or 07, that was my first trip that I got to go to Wrigley. And I fell in love with the place. And so I'm sitting here as you guys were getting ready to call me, and I'm watching this special that was on Fox Sports 1 the other night that is called Confessions of a Cubs Fan, A Century of Waiting. And I was doing fine. Like, I thought to myself, I'm pumped for this. The Kyle Schwarber thing is really kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Then I start watching this, and I'm a nervous wreck now. Like, I'm seriously a nervous wreck.
Boy, it's something that we've been waiting a long time for, and obviously their respective fan bases have been waiting much longer. But it's crazy because people mention a lot the Cavs winning the championship and somebody like lifting the curse off the city of Cleveland. I think that's crap. I think that's just not giving proper credit to what Terry Francona has done in Cleveland, putting this team together. And I think I mentioned halfway through the season they put Jabu of Major League back in the locker room, and I think that actually added a little juice to this team. Talk about Cleveland, because this is a very talented team, and even though the Chicago Cubs have been the best team in baseball, really bar none, all year, tell us why Cleveland's got a shot.
Well, the reason why Cleveland has a shot is they're good from both sides of the plate. They hit righties and lefties very well. You're talking about a team that's not just your typical AL ball club. You've got, you do have guys like Kipnis, like Carlos Santana. Those guys actually hit home runs. Mike Napoli's got 34 home runs. Mike Napoli, who a guy that's played for the Rangers in the World Series, played for the Red Sox in a World Series, now playing with the Indians in a World Series. And you have all these things, and Francisco Lindor, which is, this young shortstop coming up for him. And they have all this thing. That's just offenses. Because then you go to pitching, and again, you have Andrew Miller. When this offseason's over with, he will seriously be one of the biggest free agents that will be looked at. Him and Aroldis Chapman, they're both going to be pitching in these games. And Andrew Miller is a fifth-inning pitcher now. Like,
wow.
That is how good this ball club is that you still kept Cody Allen as your closer, and now Andrew Miller's coming in the 5th, 6th, and 7th inning. How are you even supposed to hit him for 3 innings?
Well, talking about Andrew Miller in the Cubs, in the Indians, they have Andrew Miller, they have Corey Kluber.
Yeah.
But do they have enough though? Compared when you look at the Cubs pitching and what the Indians offense is going to have to face against the Cubs, can the Indians, are they able to compete depth-wise in their pitching with all the injuries they faced?
The thing about this game that makes me a little bit nervous for the Cubs from their side of it is the fact that right now you have the Indians that are through the regular season to the least was batting .259, which was one of the top 11 teams in baseball right now off of righties. Whereas in the Cubs, on the other hand, we're batting .252, which again, it's only .07 points. But where the Cubs were 20th in baseball, the Indians were 11th in baseball, and in baseball, that's a pretty big jump. And with that being said, the Indians only have 2 lefties in their entire rotation that's going to be pitching. They're nothing but righties, and that is what the Cubs kind of struggled with throughout the season. And yes, you're going to see guys like Corey Kluber tomorrow night. You're going to get Trevor Bauer. I don't know for how long, but you're going to get him. Even Danny Salazar is going to be on the roster for the Indians. And all of these are really, really good pitchers that all of this combined, the pitching this should seriously be a low-scoring series. This seriously, like you were talking, if you look back to the Game 1, Game 2 of the series between the Dodgers and Cubs and how it was like, 3-4. It was like 4-4 until the Montero Grand Slam.
Uh-huh.
Then you had 1-0 with the Clayton Kershaw game. Like, that's seriously what we could be looking at. 2-1, 3-2, 4-1. Like, that could be the type of ball games that we're looking at through this whole series.
So you really think this Indians pitching staff is going to step up to the plate?
They have to this point. This is when pitching staff step up is the most important time in the playoffs.
No,
and also you have to put into it a fact that, yes, weather is going to play a part into both of these.
Mm-hmm.
We seriously don't know right now about what the weather is going to be like in Wrigley Field. And when you're talking about a Cubs team who has, Rizzo has hit 32 home runs this year. Chris Bryant is still trying to make an MVP candidate with 39 home runs. You have Addison Russell starts stepping up towards the end of the season. Javier Baez is starting to hit the long ball. And now you're bringing Kyle Schwarber back, that whenever they're at Wrigley, he's going to be a pinch hitter. The thing about this Cubs team that does make me worry is if they go into a game where it's going to have your typical Chicago October weather and there's going to be wind blowing in at 20 miles per hour, that's better suited for the Indians than what it is for the Cubs.
Is it? I thought it was the Windy City.
Oh, it's the Windy City, but if you can't hit a ball, if you hit a ball that would normally go 450 feet and it stays up and only goes 300 right into the right fielder's glove, it is not going to benefit you whatsoever.
Yeah, in other words, it's not power hitters weather.
Yep.
Look, okay, a quick pop quiz for you guys. I know you're interviewing me, but I got a pop quiz.
All right.
Hit us.
Stolen bases wise. Who was the Cubs' leader in 2016 when it came to stolen bases?
Ooh.
I'm going to take a guess and say Jason Hayward.
Who'd you say?
Jason Hayward.
Okay.
Oh, boy. I don't know. I can't even answer that question.
Just pick a name, man.
Aroldis Chapman.
Aroldis Chapman, he's a pitcher. He's going to lead the Cubs in stolen bases.
No.
Exactly. It was actually, now again, the guy that it was makes sense, and it's Dexter Fowler.
Well,
but
yeah.
He only stole 13 bases all season.
No, I do remember reading about that because they have the lowest stolen base. There's a baseball player that, I can't remember his name, he leads the National League in stolen bases, has more stolen bases than the Cubs, correct?
Right. And then you can turn around and you can look at the Indians on the other hand, and their leading stolen base guy, Rajai Davis, 43 stolen bases.
That's incredible.
So what I'm saying is if this gets into an atmosphere where, again, if you remember back in 1997 when the Indians played the Marlins, I want to say it was Game 3, that it was snowing. It was like 15 degrees in Cleveland. At the time, it was Jacobs Field. And you had this extremely cold ball game. You're looking at a low-scoring game because the only time it's not going to hurt to swing is going to be if you hit a ball out of the park. That's the only time it doesn't hurt to swing. But other than that, you have to put those things in. So, yes, the Cubs broke out in Game 5 and Game 6 and started stroking home runs. And, yes, they lit up one of the best pitchers in baseball in Clayton Kershaw. But it still makes me nervous that they are a team that relies on the long ball as much as they do. And in postseason play, that normally doesn't benefit you.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we're closing down here. At the end of this series, I believe either Cleveland or Chicago will burn to the ground.
Possibly both at the same time.
Possibly both. Which city?
There may be a war. They're pretty close together when you think about it.
Well, Cleveland, they held themselves together when the Cavs won, so I think they can do it if the Indians win. Chicago, though, I don't know. I mean, Chicago might burn to the ground if the Cubs win.
Chicago will definitely burn to the ground. The great fire of Chicago will not hold a candle to this fire.
Now, do you guys know the history of the reason why it's called the Second City, right?
No.
Well, it's because there was a fire that started by a cow that burnt down half of the city of Chicago,
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, the Great Fire of Chicago.
It was like 1920 or something like that.
And the Cubs haven't won a World Series since.
That may seriously happen again. I mean, you're talking about a city that has went through great players like Ernie Banks, like Greg Maddux, like Andre Dawson. Look again at the 03 roster. You had Pryor and Kerry Wood, and you couldn't even get to the World Series with those two. You've had Ramirez at third base for God knows how long. You've had guys that have come in through this throughout the 90s. Mark Grace.
Ryan
all
Sandberg.
the great players that have played for the Cubs, and they are seriously on the brink now of something that I promise you, I will probably cry my eyes out if the Cubs win this World Series.
No, I'm going to be right there with you because I've always been a Braves fan, and I still am a Braves fan. But as a kid, I never watched cartoons. I would come home from school, and it'd be WGN and the Cubs every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So as a kid, all I did was watch Cubs baseball. It was Cubs and Braves.
The way that it was is a lot of times, I took my future wife, I call her the future wife, I took her to Chicago back in 2014. It was the year before they were good, so nobody can get mad at her for being a Cubs fan now. It was 2014, and I told her, because I'd already been there 3 times prior, I said, I promise you, I don't care what fan you are of whatever team, you will walk out of this stadium after this day and you will love the Cubs more than any team you've ever loved in your life. And we went to Wrigleyville. She went to the Houndstooth, which is the bar that's designed after Alabama. We went, had lunch there. We went over to Wrigleyville. She enjoyed the afternoon. We sat fourth row behind home plate.
Oh, boy.
We were sitting there watching Jeff Samardzija pitch because it was the last start that he made before getting traded to Oakland. And then when we left that ballpark, we still had 5 days in Chicago, and she said, can we go back every single day because that is one of the most amazing places I've ever stepped foot in my life.
I real quick story before I actually went to a Chicago game a long time ago, and they weren't playing as well, obviously, but just to give people an idea of how cold and how windy it does in fact get, I bought a slice of pizza at a Chicago Cubs game as an 8th grader. I went to Chicago with my mom for a couple of days, and by the time I got back to my seat, the pizza slice, which had been piping hot before when I bought it, was it was like I had left it in the refrigerator for 2 days.
Let me ask you a question.
It's real in Chicago.
I know that we're almost done.
Yep.
What is both of your single greatest moment, a sports memory of your entire life? Single greatest memory of something that you were at?
Boy. Oh, that we were at. Okay.
That you were at. That you witnessed in person.
Boy.
Ooh. I've witnessed some good ones.
Yeah. That's tough.
The greatest moment in sports or most memorable moment?
The one that if you ever said, tell me your greatest sports memory of an event that you were at in your life, what moment would that be?
Greatest memory I'll never forget. Well, I mean, there's being right there at the goal line on the field and seeing Courtney Taylor on 4th down catch.
Okay.
I guess LSU.
The 04 LSU game.
Yeah, but for me, I think I got to go Auburn, West Virginia, Hurricane game.
Wow.
I was in the student section. My phone was ruined. None of us left. It was a waterfall going from the upper deck to the bottom deck, and there was over a foot of water filled up on the most insane drainage system on a football field.
Sitting there watching this show right now would probably say the greatest moment in sports that they had ever been at would be the kick six, which, I mean, again, hate it or love it, it's probably going to be the greatest moment in the state's history, 100 years. I would say that my first trip to Wrigley Field is tied with the kick six because I was in the stadium to see Barry Bonds at 7:52 and 7:53 at Wrigley Field.
No way.
Wow. Man.
It's on YouTube.
Barry.
I never can remember the day, but I'll always remember Bonds at 7:52 and 7:53. It was when everybody was booing him like crazy. The moment the ball went into the air, which he hit it out on the street right behind right field, and I'm not kidding, the entire stadium at Wrigley started jumping up and down and screaming exactly like they did Saturday night when they clinched, and then 4 seconds later started booing Bonds like crazy because they were like, oh my God, we were there for this great moment. Wait, we hate you.
Yeah. Dang it, Barry Bonds. You made us love you for like 2 seconds.
Well,
exactly, and that is exactly what, again, my greatest moment in my life from a sports fan was being in that stadium for that particular moment, and I can't ever look anywhere past it, so I want it to happen there.
Cool.
No, it has to happen there. And so if it's your pick, you're saying you got to pick the winner. You're saying Chicago Burns, Cubs win.
Oh, God, please don't make me pick a winner because look, here's what I'm going to do. I'm picking Cleveland because I am not going to be the one that jinxed Chicago on this.
Hey, I'm with you, man. Cleveland in 6. Cleveland in 6.
I wanted, if I had the perfect ending for this, I would have it be somebody like Arrieta that's on the mound, which I know he's pitching game 2. He'd most likely come back for game 5 or game 6. And I would love to have game 5 in Wrigley for that to be the moment. That's what I want. I mean, I don't care if this is a Red Sox moment. I don't care if they sweep. I don't really care. Just to see it happen in Wrigley would be the greatest sports moment I could ever witness, even though I'm not there. By the way, do you see how much seats are going for?
$12,000.
Oh, it's absurd.
$12,000.
It's absurd. But you can get one of those seats on top of the buildings. If you had bought your if you had bought your ticket on Sunday, you could have bought one of your you could have bought some seats on top of the buildings behind Wrigley Field for $1,500.
That's where I would have wanted to say. That was my, as a kid watching the Cubs.
That would have been a dream.
Nothing cooler if you're watching the Cubs. They're going for a sweep in a series, and you look back behind the buildings, and everybody's got their brooms going back and forth.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Look, Darren Ravel tweeted out that 4 tickets right behind home plate, about 5th row, for Game 4 just sold on StubHub for $64,000. And I'm not even joking. $64,000 for seats right behind home plate, Game 4.
Would you pay that to see them? Would you pay that to see Chris Bryant hit a walk-off grand slam in the 9th inning with 2 outs to win it by 1?
I seriously, if I could seriously be there for that moment, I don't know. I mean, I could die right there. I mean, seriously, do you know how many people that are above the age of 75 will not make it to next week if the Cubs win? They're like, all right, I'm done. I seriously am done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
There's one lady on this earth that was alive and saw the Cubs last World Series.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah,
no, and here's how messed up it is. When Dexter Fowler comes to bat for the Cubs in Game 1 tomorrow night, he will be the first black athlete to play in a World Series for the Cubs. That is how long it has been.
Wow. Like literally the world and society has changed since this happened. Like completely has changed.
Dodgers the last time the Cubs had won or played in the World Series.
Amazing. Amazing. Boy. All right. Well, Joe, we're definitely going to have you on to react to all this once it all gets done because I already feel it. It's a great feeling. It'll be a series to remember, and we thank you for your time tonight, man.
I'm glad that Auburn and Alabama have bye weeks with Auburn playing Ole Miss and Alabama playing nobody.
Yeah,
I
good
can
timing.
focus on the World Series.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
Awesome, guys. I appreciate it.
All right.
Joe, have a good one. Thank you.
All right, man. See you guys.
All right, everybody. That was Joe Hunk of WMSP in Montgomery, program director down there. And we'll have him on once again after the World Series concludes. It's going to be an awesome series. Cleveland Indians, Chicago Cubs. America's been waiting for this for a long time. We don't have much time left in the show, so let's go ahead.
Let's cut the break real quick, and we got to come back.
All right.
We got to get a break
real quick. All right, everybody, stick around. Last 5 minutes, right around the corner.
Carl Cannon, their dream team makes it real easy to do business.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Carl Cannon Buick Cadillac GMC Chevrolet. My name is Joshua Salter, and would love to take this opportunity to show you the new 2016 Cadillac SRX. We've got some great promotions going on right now. Would love to help you get into a new car today. If you have any questions, please give us a call at 384-5561 or on my cell at 205-300-8364. Stop out and see us.
Other dealers can't? Cannon can.
Carl Cannon, Chevy Buick GMC Cadillac in Jasper.
Every day, students at Bevel State Community College tell their own stories. They tell them through the accomplishments they achieve, the choices they make for career success, and through recommendations they share with friends. With 5 locations serving 7 counties and tuition lower than 4-year colleges, now is the time to start writing your own success story. Your story starts at Bevel State.
Ready to Work Trucks in Summerton is just that. The place to go from anywhere in the country to find good used trucks for any need. Brian and Robert Harlan and their staff will assist you with financing and delivery. Brian is a 3-time National Truck Salesman of the Year and a 5-time Kenworth Walk-Around Champion with 30 years experience. Ready to Work Trucks, more than just a slogan, a business guarantee.
When you buy a truck from Ready to Work Trucks, everything works. All lights, all gauges, all switches, brakes are good. You can go anywhere in the country or on the internet and you can buy you a used truck and it's ready for you to go home and work on it. Or you can come to Ready to Work Trucks where everything on our trucks work and the horn blows, the brakes work, the tires are good, the kingpins are good. Hey, come visit us on Old 78 Highway in Summerton, Alabama. Small town, big business. Come see us. We'll see that Ready to Work Trucks is more than our slogan. It's our business guarantee.
Yeah. Now what is it?
Now, Auburn's favorite sport. The public just won the whole thing. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the last segment. We got to get this done really quick. We've got our composite rankings with us, and some of them are kind of surprising, but we put it together. All these things with special statistics that kind of put together a power ranking of the SEC teams. And we'll go right into it. Auburn, Ole Miss. Auburn heading to the Grove to make things happen. Ole Miss was favored by 1 starting out on Sunday. Since then, the public has bet it 5 points in the other direction. Auburn now favored by 4. What are your thoughts?
Looking at the game, I really don't think it's going to be that close based off our rankings, where they're predicted. Even with Ole Miss getting a point for having home field advantage, they're still over 1.5 points away from Auburn in the ratings. Ole Miss is looking that bad. Auburn has won 5 of the last 7 meetings with Ole Miss, and I look to continue that. Auburn has won 8 out of the last 10 when we come back Monday.
Yeah, that's incredible. Auburn also, you have to throw this in there. Auburn has the #1 rushing offense in the league. Ole Miss has the last rushing defense in the league. That, my friends, does not bode well in any SEC matchup. I think Auburn wins by a couple of touchdowns.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Kentucky, Missouri. Kind of crazy considering Missouri lost to MTSU just last week, and Kentucky pulled out a similarly close victory against Mississippi. But our rankings say Missouri will win on Saturday. They are at home. Why do you think Missouri wins this one?
I think they're two very similar teams.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
very close.
I think if this game is in Kentucky, Kentucky wins this game. You look at Missouri, they just have awful defense.
Yeah.
I mean, they put up 630.
What happened to them?
635 yards of total offense against Middle Tennessee State. They can sling the ball all over the place. They have offense until they play good defense.
Yeah.
It's just there's nothing else there. But Kentucky does not have the greatest offense. I think that's going to help Missouri and their lack of defense.
Yeah. I think Barry Odom steps in on this one.
Yeah, Missouri wins a high-scoring game, 48-45.
And Vegas agrees, a 3.5-point favorite they are at home. Florida, Georgia, the annual meeting there in Florida.
In Jacksonville.
Florida.
Jacksonville.
So, Florida ranked 14th, and the rankings speak very highly of them. And Georgia has just had a horrible year to this point. Very disappointing. They were off last week to kind of recover from losing to Vanderbilt, and they may have a couple of tricks up their sleeve for Florida. What do you think happens?
I think Florida runs away with not runs away with it. This, we're talking about Florida, Georgia here.
Exactly. It's always close.
But looking at this game, Florida is just flat out the better team. Georgia has had a down year, and I saw it coming from the beginning of the year, and I just don't see how Georgia's going to be able to move the ball.
Me neither. Florida, I think, especially with Luke Del Rio in tow. Very last thing before we leave, Tennessee at South Carolina. Our rankings actually believe South Carolina will pull the upset. They said that our rankings also thought that they would beat a couple of other teams, but they didn't. Why do you think they beat Tennessee? I personally would think Tennessee, but we'll go with it.
Injuries. New quarterback at Jake Bentley.
They are beat down. And South Carolina with a great pass defense.
Great pass defense. Jake Bentley and being at home with Tennessee's injuries. That's what adds up to South Carolina upsetting Tennessee.
Number 7 total defense in the league. 2nd passing defense overall in the SEC. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us here on the sidelines, whether you're joining us on the internet at alabamacablenetwork.com or here on Charter Cable. Appreciate y'all so much. Thanks to Bama Brent and Joe Hunk for calling in. Everybody, make sure y'all have a safe week out there. And we'll see you next week, same time, same place, and tomorrow at 8 a.m. and Thursday at 8 a.m. Hunter, take us out.
Folks, use the game. Don't let the game use you.
Take care, everybody.